How are things in Florida? Oh, sorry.
You're okay. It's working on going live. There, I think we're live. Live.
All right, as it is 7 o'clock, we will officially call this meeting to order. The council has had an opportunity to review the minutes from last month's meeting as well as the claims for payment. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Neil.
I'll second Bill.
Motion and second on the table. Any further discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Open forum. Anyone here to speak on an issue not currently on the agenda? No?
Nope.
Okay. Moving right along. Presentation of the AARP membership certificate.
Yeah. Where would you like me to stand?
If the camera will pan to you where
Okay,
you
as
speak,
long as
it'll come right to you.
Okay, well, I'll just stand right here. Well, thanks for having us here tonight. My name is Megan Redmond. I'm the Associate State Director for AARP Minnesota. I'm here with my colleague, Jay Hakola. We just traveled from Wilmer, doing the exact same thing, meeting with their age-friendly group and presenting their certificates. AARP is the US-based affiliate for the World Health Organization's network of age-friendly communities. We know people are living longer. We have an aging population, and this program initiative is really meant to work with local communities where we know a lot of the decisions are made that really impact people's lives. So when we think about housing and transportation and access to services and information, that's all happening at the local level. And so the Network for Age-Friendly Communities really supports local communities in their planning efforts focused on becoming more age-friendly. So when we think about age-friendly, a lot of things can be considered age-friendly, but I think what's unique about the process is that it really intentionally engages older adults and engages an older adult voice throughout the entire process. So Bird Island has joined our network. You're now one of 22 other communities across the state of Minnesota. There's almost 2 million people in the state that are living in age-friendly communities. And when we think about some of the benefits of that, it's really focused around you are within a network, so you're aligned with communities across the states. The state of Minnesota is also an age-friendly state as well. So you're really well positioned to kind of have access to resources and support in that way. You have now the opportunity to network with all the other age-friendly communities. So we host quarterly calls and we have a lot of tools and resources. So as you're kind of getting going on the process, we're here to support you along the way. And then you're also a part of a network nationally too. So there's over 800 communities across the country that are part of the network. And there's a lot of national support and webinars and resources to kind of help you along the way as well. So we want to present the certificate officially, and it says the City of Bird Island, Minnesota has committed to becoming more age-friendly under the criteria established by AARP and has been accepted as a member of the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities. I think it's important to say too that joining the network isn't an endorsement of you are an age-friendly community, but it's really about you've made the commitment to become more age-friendly. And so so when you're committing to it, it's a 5-year process. And this is the step 1 is to join. It's the easiest part of the whole 5 years probably. But then the process really is then, doing an assessment and understanding where are the needs of the community, where are the gaps in services, putting together an action plan, baking in an evaluation plan with it, and then implementing your action plan and figuring out what went well or what didn't. And then the idea is that it's a circle and it's just continually improving your community. Knowing that when we are really focused on older adults and kind of what we do ultimately benefits the community as a whole. So we want to present this. We would love to get a photo with folks if you're okay with that. And we're also happy to answer any questions as well. When folks have them.
Okay. Gather around.
But I think you missed it.
Yeah, hard to get them on one.
I know.
We can get the Zoom screen in there. All right.
Yeah.
Wave at the computer. 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you can, yeah, sure.
Very nice.
Like I said, we're happy to answer questions. Ask you while we're here.
Did we not have, did we not have a meeting or some kind of training? Did we meet here and something? Had some type of, was like a beginning of a planning type thing for aging communities and.
We did that survey in the pergola project over here. And for the last year, is that what you're thinking of?
I remember meeting in here. There was,
That could have been before my time.
oh, I think it was actually. You remember? Didn't we have? There was like some CNC members and didn't we discuss, I don't know, there was like a little handout and we did a questionnaire and filled out where our community is at right now and what we can do to build for the future and to look at what changes we'd like to see for the future for the aging populations and yeah.
I think Betty might have done it.
That's, I was gonna suggest maybe it was the area agency on aging that was going through.
That could
something.
be, it had something to do with aging communities and yeah.
Because it was the process that kind of started with Betty when I came on, and then got the pergola did, and there was a survey that was done, and then there was more like the information, finding out the information, and kind of it's kind of what it started when I was first learning what was going on.
So,
Yeah.
So.
And that's a
Thank you.
good example
Mhm.
of other information, if you dig up the results from there, they can be incorporated into this process too.
Mhm.
Sure. Very nice. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for the picture, good to meet you.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Very
Sounds great.
nice. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Did you decide if you're gonna hang it or set?
I don't know if I can hang it well on these walls, so
To sit on top of the file cabinet.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, the sheriff's office quarterly update.
Well, I thought Jordan was supposed to be coming from the sheriff's department, but he is not
He
here.
was tied up when
That's-
I left
okay.
at 6 o'clock, so he
No,
was busy.
that explains things why he's not here. I was kind of hoping he would at least come and introduce himself to most of the council because he is our new deputy. Andrew Hussman has got a different position in the sheriff's department, and so Jordan has kind of taken his spot too.
We can skip over that and come back to it and
And see if he shows up.
steps in later, sure.
'Kay.
Okay, update on the hazardous buildings, 1060 Highway Avenue as well as 750 Ash Avenue.
So the county has opened up their blight grant application process. So I'm going to now try to apply for those. And because of that, they have a certain checklist and that you have to do, which involves like the asbestos, which we originally thought we were gonna do, but because of how 1060 is, our thought was we were just gonna try to get it done. But now with the county grant, I think we need to do as much as we can to follow that process so we can get those additional funds to help.
Sure.
So the electricity and gas services have been disconnected at 1060. And so it's just kind of waiting on getting those other things. And I talked to Chris and I think they're kind of ready to go whenever to pick a date when we can get everything lined up to do that. We also had a court case for 1050 Ash Avenue, and so we have just received the judge's order to be able to take that building down as well. So we will be soliciting bids for that soon, and then I'll also try to apply for the county grant. Like
Do we
that
have to
as
have
well.
an answer? Do we have to know if we're allotted funds from the county grant prior to starting, or as long as we follow their criteria?
I'm not
Would be
100%
eligible
sure
for
on that one. I did, as soon as I got word of that, I kind of put it on hold and I asked Jordan if, like, hey, can I do this? Cause since we already had awarded the bid and stuff, and he said, yeah, it's open, hurry up and get your application in, or to not hurry up, but to get your application in. So, yes, I think that they are, from my take is that they're going to be okay with that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see when it comes to.
Is that a reimbursement? It's a reimbursement grant, right, Tracy? Like it up to a half? Or Neil, is that what it is?
Yeah,
You're
it's a matching, matching,
matching
but I
grant.
think I don't think we can, I don't think we can start demolition until we know that it's awarded.
Right, which is why I haven't, yeah, I kind of want to.
Yeah.
I told Chris and stuff about that, so we don't really want to do anything or take it down yet. And so we can hopefully make sure we get that. So that's kind of ended up holding up the process a little bit there.
When is
So
the deadline for the application? Is it April?
April 1st,
April 1st.
yes.
Okay. So is somebody gonna check for asbestos then, Tracy?
I'm going to try
Samples?
to see if I can get somebody to do that, yes.
Okay.
Because I saw that was one of the requirements on the checklist. And also whoever takes it down needs to have the type 3 demolition permit as well, so.
Chris does, so, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Make sure that we have those and follow their rules so we can
Yep.
hopefully get the funds.
Okay, thanks.
So really, if the deadline's April 1st, we're not going to know until April, probably mid to end of April.
Yeah,
So it really
It'll
won't
be at
work till May.
It'll be the April Renville County EDA meeting. There's a committee that meets to talk about this. And then recommendation comes to the EDA. I don't know the date of the meeting right offhand, but. So it'll be, I think it's the second Monday, if I'm not mistaken, but. I don't have it in front of me, sorry.
Well, a little bit of a delay, but I guess the funding will help if we're allotted them. So. Okay, anything else on the buildings? No. Okay. All right, item number 5, resolution 1-24, approving 2024 election judges.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 124, Deb.
I'll second.
Motion second to approve resolution 1-24, approving the 2024 election judges. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. Okay, Fulton make presentation on the updated project costs.
Is it all right if I stand here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we're plugging away with plans and specs for the project. Actually, our next step here is gonna be having the Go for One utility design meeting here. That'll be next Tuesday. Tuesday at 10 or 10:30, I think we had it. It's a meeting that's required by law. You have to go through the Go for One review before you send projects out to bid, basically. Yeah, so otherwise, we're on target to make sure we're certified here by the end of March deadline. And then on Ranchwood Drive, I guess I just wanted to do a quick make sure I got some clarification from you guys. I think I was getting a little mixed up at the last meeting. Were you guys looking for 24 or 25 construction? Tracy said she thought she remembered 2025 construction, but I just wanted to make sure I was all on the same page as all of you this year.
I think we originally talked about 24, and then throughout the discussion, I think decided to maybe push that portion back to 25. Am I correct, Dave?
I remember we talked, you wanted the option to be able to.
Does that clarify anything?
A little bit. The main reason I'm asking is because when we come to certify the plans and specs with the MDH and PFA there, what we put in those plans and specs and then the loan application environmental report, that's gotta match exactly what we wanna do and go out for bid for construction afterwards. So we can't, they're not gonna give us a loan for extra stuff that we might do at a different project with a different contractor in a different year, basically. But one option we have, if you guys want a little more flexibility, we could do a bid alternate onto the project. So the main bid would be the water main looping. And then if you guys wanted to, we could include just Ranchwood Drive as an alternate. And then that would give you guys the option to, hey, once we go up for bids, you guys like the bids, they're favorable, you get the PFA funding, that's favorable, you guys maybe decide to award Ranchwood, or maybe the bids aren't so favorable, or the funding that from PFA, maybe it's all loan and no grant. Maybe you guys wait to do it some other time. But just an alternate gives you a little flexibility if you're debating. Gives you the
Can I,
flexibility.
maybe I'm the one who's confused, but isn't the Ranchwood project isn't part of the PFA funding? That was not something that was, so that we wouldn't be getting PFA funding for that.
The water portion is, but the sewer is not.
I don't remember that, the water being included in the intended use plan.
It's on there. Yep, it was part of the water distribution segment.
It's a short water, 6-inch water main replacing the 1-inch that's already there is what was on the 4th Street Ranchwood plan.
That was under water distribution.
Yep,
Okay, and that was something I didn't have right. But the sewer part isn't.
correct. The sewer part is not PFA eligible, so that's gonna be city cost regardless. Yep. And then I think we had it where part of the street surface, roughly 50% of the street surface, we can throw underneath the water category. So the 50% of that street surface would also be eligible. Then the other 50% is considered sewer technically, and that would not. So we can move a little bit of the street surface underneath that as well.
Matt, is there any reason not to do it as an alternate as you're proposing? Is there a reason not to do that as a bid alternate?
Honestly, it comes down to your guys' finances, budgets, what you guys feel comfortable with. I mean, it's your project. I mean, we already have a really good start on the plans, and we'll be getting rolling on the specs here pretty soon, and it's really not that much more work at all to include it as an alternate. Basically, all I do is write the word alternate number 1 on a couple different plan sheets and in the spec, and there's really not much more to it than that.
I would be more concerned about the PFA funding part of it, being that the looping project is a higher, has a higher rating as far as being able to get grant funds. Is that not correct? Than the water distribution? Wouldn't
Well,
that, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, it's PFA is a little confusing because it all comes down to the city's affordability. So by technically, once you hit your affordability limits with the loan, then everything above that they say should be grant. And if you guys got really good grants on the last project, I'd like to say you guys are in good shape. But this is 5-6 years later, and they might use updated census numbers or median household income numbers, which that's what they use to calculate your affordability.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to decide that because if there's gonna be a hearing, and part of it is street reconstruction, 20% of that, according to our policy, is accessible. So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to know what, Tracy's gonna have to know who to send those hearing notices to, so.
Yeah, Yeah, and then, like I said, that alternate, just because you call it an alternate, doesn't mean you have to do it. If you guys don't feel comfortable doing it, after you get the bids or the funding, there is no one that says you have to do it. That, it's 100% your guys' call.
And you don't feel that that would hinder our rating or our chance of them getting more in grant?
Of
versus
putting it
not.
on there. Really, I think once you hit that affordability limit, the rest in theory should be grant. So anything above, say you hit the affordability with the looping. The way I understand it is that if you had any other costs, that would be grant. But again, there's a little bit of a gray area because they call the one portion that's under the looping category and the other as the water main distribution.
Yeah.
So depending on what your affordability is, it might only be a loan, it might be part, or if you max it out quicker, maybe it's all grant too. But then again, that sanitary is still city cost.
And the
Hopefully
water distribution portion, was that under the fundable range yet?
It was, yep.
So it
Yep,
was
actually, everything for Bird
Everything.
Island was under the fundable range, yep.
My concern would be jeopardizing any funding for the water looping because of the lower rating on the water distribution, but I don't know the answer to that. That's a PFA question, so.
From what I understand, once you're in that fundable range, I don't think including or not including one thing or the other is gonna hurt your chances because it's all gonna be based on the city's affordability. And then when it comes time, what we'll do is, depending on how big of the project you guys do, whether it's just the looping or say you do the alternate, we'll have to do a loan application here in the next coming weeks before we hit submit. And there, to determine your affordability, we'll have to provide information from audits about the debt service in town for sewer and water, utility rates, utility connections, gallons sold, a bunch of that information. And then they'll use all of that to determine what your affordability is. Hopefully I'm not making more questions for you guys than answers here.
Any further questions? Comments?
So did we get updated project costs then? Am I, by reading the resolutions, is one, if we do both, it's 595,000. If we do just the looping, it's 375,000. Did I read that correctly?
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
just construction costs or is that total cost?
That's a total cost, so that would include construction. I have a 10% contingency in there. And then that would include the engineering, administration, material testing that we have for the project as well. And then just the Ranchwood portion, that's about 220,000.
And those are the updated costs without doing the storm sewer portion
Yep,
for the looping area.
and
This
just,
is-
just for a reference for you guys, the original loop when we were doing the storm sewer and the street work on Birch Avenue, that was just under 600,000. Now we're down to 375 by not doing the rest of that.
So are we doing a street reconstruction from curb to curb or just the portion where the water is?
On the water main loop on Birch,
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
just the portion where the water is. All we're doing is patching the street back above the water line.
And what about street reconstruction on Ranchwood? Is that a curb to curb thing?
Yep, that would be curb to curb, but it only includes curb and gutter where we're doing a couple of the services. There's about 3 or 4 services that we have to do on there. And then we have a little bit of curb and gutter to replace for those services, because we replace them back to the right of way, assuming that they're clay. Their PVC will connect onto them where we can, but if they're clay, which we're pretty sure they are, will go back to the right of way.
No, Matt, they're all PVC and yes, we do want to go back to the right of way on the sewer services. There's no water services. It's all sewer.
Thanks for the clarification, Dave. If you guys are thinking about assessments as you're making this decision, I was chatting with Dave and Tracy a little bit when we were going over some details for the project a while ago. Your policy leaves a little room for interpretation, so that's good and bad depending on which way you guys are leaning here. For the looping segment, you guys could consider that new water main, since there is no true existing water main there, but then that would be 100% assessed. Or since everyone along that segment has water already, you could call it a reconstruct and then it's not assessed. Meaning for the looping portion, you would not have to do an assessment hearing. For Ranchwood, if you guys are considering that, there is water there, but so that was a true reconstruct. That's pretty black and white that it wouldn't be assessed. Sewer, there's already sewer there. I'd consider that the same, that it wouldn't be assessed. And the street surface, if that's where the gray area is, if you guys want to call that a street improvement, you could assess that at that 20% that Deb mentioned. Or if you are considering this a little more of a maintenance project, I think you guys would have the discretion to not assess that as well. So it's kind of up to you guys.
But I think we have to follow what we just did on our last project, to be fair. I mean, the last project we did, none of the streets were done when we did our big sewer separation project. And we came up with that 20%, and that's what we assessed them, right, for the 18-19 project.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we kind of have to follow that the way we've done it just a few years ago. It's my thought anyway.
Yeah, then if that's the case, then for Ranchwood, I would say you would have to assess the street surface if you want to follow your policy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, for just the water main looping, I don't know if I'd call that a street improvement necessarily. So again, that one, I'd probably say you don't need to assess that, but nothing's stopping you guys from assessing if you want to either.
Well, that's why I asked if it was curb to curb. And, you know, if these streets were already done back in when we did the big project, then we wouldn't want to reassess for that, you know, so. Yeah. I mean, I think we have to do it on Ranchwood, the street, if it's curb to curb. My
You're
thought.
talking just the asphalt part, Kev, then?
Yeah, street, yeah, it's they have water and sewer services there, that it would be a reconstruct, so. 0 on that, 20% on the street. So, yeah. I don't know about the looping, because that street wasn't done with the big project, neither one of those. It's in really bad shape. I'm kind of surprised we're not doing that one curb to curb. That probably needs it, but anyway.
Well, more questions? Thoughts? I like the idea of putting the Ranchwood Drive in as an alternate. Yes, no, are you thinking something different? That's just my thoughts. Yeah.
I think so too, but we just, we just need to make sure that Tracy then would send assessment notices, would have to go to everybody that's adjacent on that. You know, because we don't know, now it's an alternate, we don't know, so we have to follow procedure with the 429 chapter 429 on assessments, so.
So assessment notices need to go out before we know what will actually be assessed?
Well, if you're planning to do work there that might be assessed, they need to have a notice of the public hearing.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
what-
when you can,
Yeah, so what we do at the first hearing is called the improvement hearing. So then we give them, based on our PER, we give them what we assume their assessment would be. Just looking at the bid prices back when we pulled the PER together, projecting it out to when we think construction is. And then we kind of walk them through, this is what we're planning on doing with the improvement. This is why we're doing it. This is what your assessment would be. Here's kind of the assessment policy of the city. And these are, these are the rates that you would be charged for these improvements. And then we would kind of go over the payment policy back to the city. Typically either you can pay it back over a set amount of years, maybe 20 years or something, that kind of gets charged to your taxes. Otherwise, if residents want, they can pay it off all in one shot or do a mix of some in between as well. So at that improvement hearing, we just kind of basically go through the project from start to finish for the residents and just give them an opportunity to provide feedback and ask questions. It isn't the actual amount that they're going to be assessed. It's our best guess before we get bids on it.
Yep.
And if you want to include it as an alternate, if you plan to assess, I would definitely hold the hearing. Because you don't want to not hold the hearing and then decide after the fact that you want to do that portion of the work. Then, because you didn't hold that hearing, you can't assess.
so yeah, I would agree with just doing it as an alternate and see what happens. I think you're gonna have some angry Ranchwood people here, but it's the way it goes.
You always find angry residents no matter the project or the town.
Yeah,
I had an improvement hearing in Stewart down the road of last month here. And basically the same thing on a much bigger scale. And yep, there's always lots of questions from the residents.
so are we
Little
needing,
sticker
are we
shock,
needing
yeah.
a motion here, Trace? Or what-
We'll need
what-
a motion to approve which resolution we're gonna do to call the hearing.
So if we do the resolution with the 595, that means we're using that Ranchwood, we're gonna include that as an alternate?
Yes, one thing I did notice on here, I originally put that we'd have a hearing at 7 PM, next month. I don't know if we want to leave it at 7 PM and then have the council meeting run afterwards, or if we want to do it earlier. I
I
don't
would
know.
do it at
how long
6,
those
I
usually
would do it
here.
at 6:30 and then keep your regular meeting at 7. That's the way we've done it in the past.
Usually.
Not that it can't be changed, it's just, I like the 6:30 and then everybody knows your regular meeting still starts at the same time.
Do you want me to change the resolution to be 6:30?
Yes, please.
I can do that. That's no problem. I was just looking at it and that's why before it was approved, I wanted to point that out.
Shut it down anyway.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 224. The one that has the 595,000 with the hearing at 6:30. And then we use Ranchwood as an alternate on the bidding process.
I'll second. There's a motion and a second on the table to approve resolution 2-24 in the total cost of improvement at 595. With public hearing to be held at 6:30.
Yes.
On the 11th of March. Any further discussion?
Mayor, the 11th Street and 10th Street, so I guess listed on top, then we have to also include Ranchwood and Fourth there.
They're all in,
There, Joe.
they're all in there.
It's in the top paragraph.
Are you looking at the right resolution?
See Ranchwood and Fourth.
There's two different resolutions. Are you
You have
looking
the
at the right one?
595.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, any further discussion?
Hmm.
If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Anything else for us?
Just two quick updates. We're helping Dave and Tracy out with two other things. One is the lead service line inventory. We have sent everything back to the Department of Health that they're looking for. Now it's kind of hurry up and wait, and they'll send us a work order. I'd love to tell you in the next week, 2 weeks, but I have no idea when it'll come back from them. They say that they're hoping to get all of them back by the end of the month, but until I see that happen, I don't know if I'll believe it, but hopefully sooner or later, long story short, we'll be getting the work order from them. Then we'll be able to help Dave and Tracy and you guys as needed here. Otherwise, when I met with Tracy and Dave that other couple weeks ago, we started digging into the phosphorus management plan. And I got one of my coworkers, Travis Selby. He's one of our water wastewater guys. He's going to be helping us out with that phosphorus management plan. It's kind of right up his alley there. So otherwise, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Unless you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
I got a comment on the phosphorus management thing. And Deb, I dug up all the old stuff that we had done back in 10 and 17. And we've got a notice that we have to submit a plan right back to NPCA here right away. So I've got a lot of stuff that's already ready to go with your office. So we're gonna be looking to
Expedite that.
back to them. Yeah, and you were copied in the letter, right, Matt? Yeah.
I remember the couple that went back and forth with Taylor Olson.
Yep.
I don't know if I remember seeing a letter that you sent to him.
That's the only notice that we
Okay.
got. He's responded back and they're looking for something submitted right away,
Right.
regardless if it's a full plan or not. So
Oh,
that's what I'm preparing.
gotcha.
Any pointers on that, Deb?
I've been retired for a year.
Okay. Thank you.
When did you retire?
A year ago? You know your phosphorus, Dave.
So our numbers have been way out of whack.
Well, no,
Are
we've
you going to
actually,
take a mitigation plan or?
well, no, and wasn't worth mentioning. The FPCA is not gonna come after us because they got a high number. The FPCA just finds us, we have to come up with a solution, phosphorus management. We have to recognize that it's there. And I've actually taken it one step further and we know where it's coming from. And we're working with that business to do more testing and make it happen. So we are progressing very well, with looking back at the history of what's happened in the old reports. So.
Very good.
And actually, I do have one more thing. I talked with Dave a little bit about it. I know Dave's mentioned it at a few of the previous council meetings. He's interested in getting that water line from Cherry Street up to the splash pad done right away this spring, maybe even ahead of our project. We were talking about what we can do with the PFA project and some of the certification and permitting needed. And if that's the route Dave and you guys would want to go, is that you get that 200 feet or so in for the splash pad. We basically have to take it out of our PFA project and submit a permit, like a separate permit application. And then you guys, as soon as it's approved by the MDH, you guys could work with a local contractor or someone you guys have lined up. I know you mentioned Jacobson's and Sons, Dave.
I don't think you should take it out of the existing project.
Well, sorry, I should probably clarify. I'd call it work by others.
If this gets done before water looping thing gets certified.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'll leave it in there then, and then I guess if you guys do want to proceed with at least submitting a permit application to give you guys the option.
It would be a separate $150 permit application.
Yep. It's a separate fee to MDH direct, so.
But
We
you
can
just
just
want to
make-
make sure we're not jeopardizing the funding with any of this. I don't know who you ask about that, but will MDH wonder when if they're getting two different permits, applications for the same project? I don't know.
what we do is we would take the plans that were already basically have done for the water looping project. I'd take that one sheet of my plans that shows the work from Cherry up to Birch there. And basically, for this one sheet that I send to the Department of Health, I'd take off, or maybe basically take off the project that we're doing with the PFA and only show the little 200 feet that you guys may or may not do for that permit application. If that's the route you guys wanted to go, because we just have to be very clear and show this is what we're doing under the first permit, and then this is what we're doing under the second, or our PFA application. We just have to make sure we show that accordingly on the sheets. And it's very easy to do. It's not like it's a big headache or anything like that. It's just making sure everything's clear, because if we're gonna submit it to the MDH, we, like you said, Deb, we don't wanna have them questioning us or throwing any red flags out there, but as long as we're clear, I talked it over with Dave Palm and one of the other engineers in our office, and they didn't have any concerns about doing it that way, so.
like I said, I'm more concerned about the funding aspect of it. If you're gonna do a project before your PFA application is approved and you know whether you get grant or loan, and you've already done work, they're gonna go, what do you need money for? You don't need money from us. You already did your part of your project.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would be a little concerned about is if you guys do it ahead of the game, ahead of the PFA project, there's a good chance that they might not, I don't know if that would be reimbursable if you did it ahead of time, basically. So that whatever you put into that water main would be at your cost, but then since I would call it out as by others on the plan sheets, the goal would be for all that street surface reconstruction to still be eligible. So the only thing you guys would be missing out on is funding for that 200 feet of pipe.
Hey, thanks for clarifying that. No, I drilled,
Yeah, you have.
We've got a splash pad meeting coming up this 22nd.
And you guys can talk it over with splash pad people and everything. I'd just like to, before we submit our plans and specs to PFA, I'd like to make sure we're all on the same page, so that way we don't have any miscommunications and we're showing the right stuff on our plans. So that way we get the approvals and the funding from PFA that we're hoping for, basically.
So what's the tentative timeline we're looking at right now for the application and hearing?
Yep.
Whether we're.
That's a
what
good
we're eligible
question,
for?
because so what we're our debt, I don't know, you guys have my handouts there? On the second page, I have the schedule that I updated here. So the first thing, we're now gonna call for the hearing, obviously tonight in February, which you guys just did. So then in March, we'll hold the public improvement hearing. And then as soon as we're done with the public improvement hearing, or pretty much as soon as we're done, we would submit plans and specs to PFA, assuming that everything is cleared and approved by you guys, the city. So then the deadline to submit is March 30th. And Kathy Barrett, I talked to her a while back. She kind of gave me the hint that the sooner you get plans and specs submitted, the sooner you can get certified. The deadline to submit is June 30th. That's the absolute latest we could know. But likely, since this is a smaller project and we'd get it in before the deadline, I have my fingers crossed that we'd hear back maybe sometime in April to June, which means we could be advertising hopefully later in June and maybe opening bids in July. Again, that's just kind of two fingers crossed. That's a hopeful schedule. If we don't hear back until that June 30th deadline, you can see that'll push us back to opening or authorizing advertisement bids in July, and so on and so forth there. But that's kind of my best guess at feeling, kind of reading in between the lines with the PFA certification. Because the schedules basically hinges on their certification. I will say too that Kathy Barrett did give me the hint, and she did kind of put a bug in my ear that said if you can advertise before certification, but you have to have approval from them to do so. It has to be basically, yeah, we know you're gonna get certified, we just gotta get to the paperwork in the next couple weeks, but you guys can go ahead and get advertising. And I know Deb, you've gotten to know Kathy Barrett pretty well over the years, so you might be able to give her a call and help speed it along a little bit too.
I don't know if I have that kind of pull.
It was worth a shot.
She's a real stickler for detail though. So I like, if we're gonna mess with doing something ahead of time, and I know the splash, but they want to get going on that, and I get that. But I really think we need to have this funding. It's either a grant or it's a 1% loan, and you can't get that anywhere else. So I don't want to jeopardize that.
And I understand that. I'm just looking at this timeline thinking,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
worst case scenario, splash pad might not open in 24.
Yeah,
Be usable.
That's what you're looking at.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you guys want, I can call Kathy Barrett here in the next couple days and quiz her, just kind of pick her brain, say that we're looking at some options, and explain to her that we're trying to get splash pad up and running, and just see what she thinks, if it's gonna.
That would be good. Okay, if you could have Tracy in on that call as well, that would be good. That would be
Yep.
great.
Yep, maybe we can set up do you have
Yeah.
Teams, Tracy? Microsoft Teams?
I can do meetings, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can, maybe I'll get something,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
I
can
can
get
get
on
that
meetings.
set up and all.
Even if we get that 200 feet done and just
Yeah.
not have to outlay the funds until afterwards, if she would be okay with that. We don't have the money, but this project needs to get going. She might understand. So,
That's my hope. If we lay it out for her and say, yeah, we'd really want
Yeah,
us to get going.
but
And maybe she'd be okay with the two separate permits as well.
that-
If she says that wouldn't be a problem and that won't jeopardize your funding at all, then I would be okay with doing the two separate permits.
yeah. Absolutely, yep.
But I would agree, I don't want it to jeopardize the rest of the project either. So.
then I
that's just
will,
my thought. I don't know how anybody else feels, but.
yeah, so unless you guys say otherwise, I'll reach out to Kathy Barrett, I'll find a time that works with her to get a meeting with Tracy going. And have you met Kathy Barrett yet, Tracy?
No, just a couple emails.
Okay.
Back and forth, very little.
Well, we'll get you introduced, because you're gonna become good friends with her if you keep moving ahead with this project here.
She's great. She's easy to work with.
Yeah, she is.
She's
Kathy's,
just, she's a
she's one of the
stickler though
better.
for detail, so.
I'm warned.
I will say Kathy's one of the better area representatives we work with consistently. She knows her stuff. She's been doing it a lot, so.
Yep.
We'll be in good hands with her, story short.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for us? We're good?
Absolutely. That's all I got for you guys.
Thank you for all your help.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Dave, do you mind if we jump down? To the fire department discussion? Are you sure? I feel bad. You're sitting there so patiently then.
No,
You're good?
Yep.
All right. All right, Public Works Maintenance Update.
hey, I did attempt to send you guys an update last week. It's really just because I thought I was off in my week on my council meeting. And Tracy, did you send it out? I never even asked you.
Yeah, it's suitable. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we caught up on a few things. Big thing is I'm happy to report we got our chlorine residual back in our system. So that's great. We're pounding stuff out in the shop because there's no snow. It's nice getting stuff fixed. I had a dump truck outside the door for 4 months. And it's fixed today, so another dump truck. The fuel straps on the orange stopped us from getting the DOT before. Now we can continue on with that, and it's just some of these parts aren't available anymore. You have to make them yourself. This is one part of it. So if the snow holds off, we'll start doing trees. Again, we've got a bunch of boulevard trees that we want to get, and the list is going on that. A couple questions have come in because our neighboring towns are doing trees like crazy now too because of the no snow. So, any questions on the report? It's gonna be a long enough meeting the way it is.
Skating rinks closed already?
Yeah, you snooze, you lose the limit.
Ever really open one weekend?
10 days is really all we got on that bugger, so.
Goodness. All right. Questions? Anything for Dave? All right. Thank you, Dave.
So last year we decided to get a different truck instead of repairing the white one. I've gotten bids from Ford and Dodge here together. Talking with the local Dodge dealer next door for some clarification and utilizing the state bid system that we're signed up for. I gave you options of just replacing pickup for pickup that we have here, that'd be the F-150 quote. I think what would better suit the city's needs is to get a little heavier pickup. This time around, a 3/4 ton that's capable of putting the snowplow on down the road. And we've already got the lighter F-150 that Dusty's has got, and we can't put a plow on those trucks. You have to go one step higher to a 3/4 ton. Ford still makes an extended cab just like Dusty's, and that's what I bid out here. Checking back with the Ford rep, he strongly suggested a couple other snowplow updates that included on the bid, dual batteries, and they're listed out there. I tried to include the 120 volt outlet and strobe lights in the Ford. That the strobe lights aren't available in the Dodge package. They don't offer that. Otherwise, they're pretty much set up the same. Dodge does not offer an extended cab. They go full 4-door crew cab. Okay. Any questions on those?
I'm just wondering why we would need a snowplow on the pickup.
Right now, we've got a small snowplow on our 1-ton truck that we got in 2015, and the mounting brackets are wearing out on that truck because we're using it so much. If we get another truck that's capable of adding a snowplow, we don't want to have to go buy a $50,000 truck for another utility deal. So we're gonna 2 uses out of this vehicle, taking the pressure off the 1-ton dump truck. This new truck won't have a dump bed on it, so it just gives us another tool in our toolbox to keep the city clean in the winter. This is what we want to do.
So it'd be like another good backup.
Yep.
Say that again, Bill, I'm sorry.
So it'd be a good backup.
Back up.
For snowplow.
But this isn't you don't plow streets with these, right? I mean, you don't, maybe I'm confused. Don't we have the bigger trucks that plow the streets?
How we use the 1-ton right now, Deb? Okay, the 1-ton is the red one, looks like a pickup, it's got a dump
Yep,
box on it.
yep, I'm aware of
Okay.
it.
We're using that to keep the windrow maintained in the middle. We're using that for the dead ends, instead of trying to back trucks up, the 1-ton will go after those. We're using that on the north side of town, just because it's so cumbersome to back the big trucks up. And Dusty's been doing a good job with that, so we're really using the heck out of that. We're also doing parking lots and cleaning up the corners. You know, we've got a lot of intersections to clean up with. You know, when one vehicle's doing that, sure, we can use the backhoe, we can use the tractor loader, but the pickups, we're going around reading meters, doing other chores, we're be able to clean up these intersections with the smaller vehicles, so it's much more efficient.
I guess I was just looking at the budget and I know, we've got a backhoe payment annually now too. Yeah. This is 42,000 is the cheapest. The budget's 45,000. We're kind of, usually we try to pay for these smaller amounts, but pickup trucks aren't small amounts anymore, I guess.
Not anymore.
Well, the one thing I would like to point out is that the bids came in for an extra $6,000, you get a much more versatile truck. That's built heavier, it's gonna last longer. So. When you're spending 40,000, 42 at the minimum. Get it up to 47 and you've got the ability to use it for other things. That's a big gain.
Yeah, looking for the fact of being a backup pickup.
So where would we get the other money from? Tracy? This is the plan.
Well, I mean, if the budget's 45,000, I mean, if you went with the RAM option, we'd only be looking at finding the additional 371.
Not really, because in that 45,000, about 26,000, I believe it is to take care of the backhoe payment. So I am trying to, when we trying to keep our budget down, the capital outlay kind of got cut down farther than what we originally wanted it to be, knowing that because trying to keep our taxes down for the year. And so,
I mean, is there gonna be a need for a plow truck coming up? I mean, those are like, I don't know. I mean, we can't. I don't know.
We're sitting really good on plow trucks right now. We bought that one from the state and we got the big one from the county, plus the 1 ton that we've been using. So, I mean, being able to put a snow plow down the road and this is gonna be, could be big.
So we have 3 bigger trucks, dump trucks, and then the 1 ton. They all do plowing. Is that right? Am I right?
We
3,
got the orange one that we got from the state. They call
Yeah.
that my balls plow.
Yep.
And we got the big one, the big orange we got from the county. Those are the 2 that we have snow plows on. And then we got the red 1 ton. Those are what we've been plowing snow with.
but there's another dump truck, right? You just don't use it for plowing.
The blue one that we use to haul snow with and trees and that, yeah,
Okay,
that plow's been worn out of that, worn off and it's really be a last resort if I was gonna use that for plowing, cause the plow doesn't lift up and go down and it's beyond repair.
and I have 3 people that usually plow, right?
Oh, yeah.
You,
Okay.
Dan, and Dusty's in the
Dusty.
1 ton. Does he have a commercial driver's license?
Dusty does not have a commercial driver's license, that's why he's in the 1 ton.
Oh, something he probably
Don't need
should.
You don't need a commercial for the 1 ton.
No, I know, but when you retire, then somebody's gonna have to have a commercial. That's all I'm thinking of. Okay.
It's very expensive to get right now too.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Dave, do you
Well,
see a
this-
downside to waiting until the next budget year?
Wait another year for a pickup is what you're saying?
Just gonna get more expensive.
Yeah,
Yep, and the white one, if I don't keep the tailgate closed, the sides go out like this. So it's that bad.
I mean, if the 1 ton needs some work, what we could do without that for a while and get it fixed as far as plowing?
I wouldn't
Or not?
repair a frame on a truck, Deb, no. I want to repair a frame. We put some extra bolts in it and stuff to make it more secure. And we just have to. I mean, when you use these vehicles, they wear out. Small towns don't buy a vehicle like that and expect it to do the whole town. It's not made for that. Our big trucks are made for that. And we're just using it a lot more than we thought we would. We never had a small truck with plow before on it. And we're just using it a lot.
But this would be more than just a backup. I mean, you do routinely use it.
No, we wouldn't have to put a $10,000 plow on this truck right away. So when the 1 ton goes down in 10 years and say I need to replace the 1 ton, well, let's put a plow on that Ford pickup that we spent $6,000 more 5 years ago. and we'll put a plow on that, it's ready to go. Instead
Oh,
of
so
having-
it's not, it won't be ready for plowing. You need to spend another 10 grand. That's what you're saying. That
Yeah,
doesn't include the
typically-
plow.
You get, so typically when you get a big truck snowplow, you pay $100,000 for the truck, and you pay $100,000 for the plow. You know, so we're buying a $46,000 truck, and I would guess that a snowplow to go on there would be 10,000.
But the plow
But the
that's
plow,
currently on the 1 ton that you have the truck that, if we got one of these bigger trucks, either the Ford F-250 or the Ram, those would be capable to use the plow that's currently on the truck.
I would not take an old plow off, put it on a different truck. Chances are all the mechanism, pins and bushings are wore off on that plow. That's why it's not working. So.
You're just
So we're-
advocating for us to spend about 6 grand more so that when this
We have the option.
2015 goes down, we can utilize it, correct?
So we have an option to do it.
Yeah.
Right now with our existing trucks, we don't have an option.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's another 10,000. Do you mean?
The truck purchase
Ready.
price difference right now is $5,800 to be able to have an option.
Yeah. But if we need to use it for snowplow, then we have to buy the snowplow because we don't have it, right?
Yeah.
So I
right,
mean, there's gonna be another 10,000 if we're gonna use it for plowing.
down the road, it'll be
Yeah.
an extra
In
10,000,
the future.
yeah. Could be.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, I would make a motion to purchase the F-150 for the 42,193. Get the ball rolling.
But then you don't have an option of putting a plow in.
Right,
And we don't have an extended cab.
Plus 3/4 on it, a little more power. For pulling or something.
Looking at this as more of a utility vehicle, not to do all the extra stuff.
I'd like to remind council, you know, when we bought Dusty's 2019 pickup, we advocated that we have more electronics, more stuff to keep inside. So our lab equipment, test equipment, if we go back and not have another extended cab, we're still gonna have those issues. So that means that, you know. So. Can it work? Yeah, it can work. Is it the most effective thing? I don't know. I would like to stay with my initial recommendation that we go with the 250 extended care. Go ahead.
But even the Ram at 45,000, I mean, that's only. It's only 2,100, 2,200 difference.
And we have to have warning lights to that, so you're extra 800 for sure.
Well, there's a motion on the table to approve the Ford F-150 quote at 42,193. Is there a second? Going once, going twice. Motion
Somebody's
dies
gonna
for
make-
lack of a second. Additional thoughts from the council?
Have mine.
Is this something need a decision on right away, Dave?
I didn't look to see when the contract's closed out. We've been waiting over a year to order a pickup. Haven't become available. I mean, if you guys can't fit it in the budget, I'll make that old Chevy last another year. I will, but
Well, if the entire budget's only, what'd you say, 45,000?
yeah,
And 20 of it already is going, For the-
26-ish, 26 to 27,
so more than half of it.
so we'll leave just under 20 for a down payment of a pickup, but it'd be nice to be able to not have to borrow for
Right.
a pickup since it's only under 20,000, especially with today's interest rates.
Yeah.
Something we could table till next month.
I'll
I don't
keep
know.
looking. I don't think I'm gonna find it, but I can keep looking.
We didn't allow a whole lot of wiggle room when we set the budget, just because we wanted to keep
We keep the
the tax
rates as
percentage
low.
down. Do you think we even have another month before?
I think we
The-
do. I think we do, Julie.
I don't know, another month isn't really gonna do anything. I mean,
Make a
what,
difference? Maybe
we're
not.
gonna have to take some money from somewhere, either which way, so.
Yeah. All due respect, Deb, I think having the flexibility to go to the 3/4 ton is where I'm at. I'm just trying to decide between one or the other, in my opinion. The extra backseat, the option to put a plow on it in the future. So I'm a little bit confused, Dave, in regard here. Is the Ram needs about $800 more worth of lights, and then it would be somewhat comparable to the F-250? Or is there more of a difference also?
That was the biggest difference deal. There might have been $100 option there for a AC plug for a Silversmith charger or whatever. I was trying to keep them identical. If you guys wanna consider the Dodge, that's great. One of our Rhode Island residents works for the city of Olivia, and I went over there and asked them what would be their choice. And he told me to stay away from the Dodge. He doesn't mind being Ford. They've been having some transmission problems. So they've had new Fords too, and it's good. We have an existing Ford. So for maintenance wise, when we're dealing with maintenance, we're only dealing with one vendor instead of two, is why I was leaning towards the Ford myself. I'm a Chevy guy, everybody knows that, but Dusty's got me convinced that, and others, that Ford's the way to go for the city.
Well, and quite honestly, you add another $800 onto the 45,371, you're practically to the 47 anyway. $1,000. Feel strongly enough to try another motion?
I will move to purchase the Ford F-250. Extended cab like what we have with the blue one and keep it with the same.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second on the table to approve the quote for the Ford F-250 extended cab for the quoted price $47,748. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'm a no.
Neil
And we lost
disappeared.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, he's not there. He must have dropped off or.
Sorry.
All right, well, the ayes have it. 2-1. We don't have Neil to vote, so.
I'm
is he
assuming
trying to get
he'll,
back in?
I'm assuming he's trying to come back in.
Uh,
Neil, we're calling for a vote. Where are you?
oh my gosh.
I'm sending him a message. Hopefully he'll answer. Maybe, we'll see. Also asking if he's there still. Going back.
Can we move on in their intro? Still got a lot of stuff to do here.
All right, as that vote is hanging in the air. We'll move on to the 2024 farm contract.
I met with Owen Halloran, as you guys authorized me to do. They did come up with a plan that they wanna rent all the acres, not set it aside. And he'll work with us. They wanna straighten the rows out, put it in alfalfa. I went out and, at Tracy's request, went out and talked to Dick, Eiler himself, and he says, I was pushing those guys to do that a long time ago, so he has the blessing to give it to the whole Halley.
Neil did just text me and say he was a yes on for the 250.
Okay. Duly noted. Motion passed then.
So why the, contract was scheduled out for 5 years, it's a first for this, so they can plant alfalfa. That's generally considered a 5-year crop. Is what it was titled up. And being he's willing to work with us, letting us get our stuff spread out there.
They
It's
were
a great
agreeable
deal.
to that?
Oh, yeah, yep, they understand it. And
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the 5-year contract with O'Halloran's.
I'll second. Motion and second to approve the 5-year farm contract. For cash rent. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Fire department discussion. Approval to order turnout gear. Everybody wants money.
All right. I'm here to ask for forgiveness first, as I made a mistake in this.
Hold on 1 second.
Yep,
Neil, do you have a vote on the farm contract?
I had a question about the farm contract first, please.
Okay,
Oh,
go ahead.
Can I ask, where in the language does it say, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my phone. Where does it talk about the language in there so that we can spread our compost?
that's gonna be spread before we sign the contract.
What about next year or the next year or the next year?
Shouldn't have to. Because they agree they want it all spread out evenly over the whole works. And they'll deal with it. Then they're gonna
But it's
break up and row crop some of it, so it's straight, and then they're gonna alfalfa sections. So we'll be able to put more stuff on in the row crops, but we've got a 15-year accumulation out there that'll be gone.
Oh,
So we should be good for 5 years, Neil.
very good. Thank you. I vote yes. I vote affirmative. Thank you. Sorry about that. My
So
phone's acting up.
time wise with that, so right away this spring that will get spread out there.
Well, when I talked to Turnstigs, they said that they were gearing up to spread right now, but because it's so warm, they wanna spread that stuff on the frost in the morning, and they quit when it gets slimy out. So I don't know how much stuff he has to do, but he opened it up, and I haven't got a price from him on getting rid of that yet. They're aware of it, and O'Halloran's aren't in agreement, so.
Okay, very good. My apologies.
that's fine. No, that's fine. So I'm here to ask for forgiveness first and foremost. In December, I got a text from our sales rep for the turnout gear. He said that as of February 1st, that there was gonna be a price increase of 10 to 15% on turnout. I said, okay, fine, we need 7 more sets because we're out of compliance. It's a safety issue, it's a liability issue, get them ordered. Didn't even think about the fact that I need to talk to you guys. I apologize. Then the holidays hit and I completely forgot about it until Tracy sent me an email with the bill.
And then what's this?
And asked me what was this. So I apologize for that. Going forward, that won't happen again.
But we did, however, budget, did we not? Didn't we decide on X number of?
Yes.
3 to 4.
Oh, 3 to 4.
3 to
I
4.
couldn't
So
remember the number.
that's the other thing. So that's the other reason I talked to the sales rep again tonight. It wasn't 10 to 15% increase, it was a 9% increase in price. So that still comes out to roughly $2,700 that would have cost more if I hadn't done it at the time and then got it going. I'm asking for the city to cover 3 or 4, whichever you guys decide is fine. The Fire Relief Association will cover the rest. Like I said, we had 7 guys that didn't have gear. We have 8 guys, excuse me. We have 8 guys that don't have current turnout gear. I ordered 7 because one of them is going to be retiring, so I didn't order him any. And he's too small. There's nobody else that fit in it anyway if we did get it. So there's that. So it's roughly 3 sets of gears, $13,431. An additional set, I could do the math quick if you want, but it'd be roughly another $4,000. Just off the cuff.
Have you been getting the 3 to 4 sets every year?
We have
Last
not.
How many years?
We got
Well, last
We
year,
got 2 years ago. We got, 2 years ago before I was chief, we ordered 12 sets. I wasn't chief, I have nothing to do with that, it is what it is. But now the remaining 7 are out of compliance. So if somebody was to get injured or burned or something, we just need to cover ourselves on that. I feel. And like I said, the fire relief will cover whatever you guys don't cover.
I was just thinking, were we behind schedule on ordering?
Yeah,
them,
and-
is the money sitting there?
I'm going to set up something going forward so that we pay attention closer. We should have a buffer for a year or two, hopefully, depending upon what kind of fires we have, who goes into those fires, because the gear has a life expectancy of how many fires also or what the temperatures are. So I can't promise that we won't have to order anything or but going forward, we will start getting a rotation. And as things wear out here and guys are in the fires, it'll help make an automatic rotation, and we'll just keep track of it going forward.
So what do we
So-
currently have in their budget? How
Is
many
that-
sets could we take for sure?
I had put some extra in their budget for potential truck or something, because I know there was also truck issues. Where did I just put that?
Something like 35,000 or something. I don't remember.
I think I put like 15 in for turnout gear and like 20 to potential truck. For a down payment on a truck, knowing that, I mean,
Coming.
yeah.
Yeah, on the,
So we're,
on the side of the truck issue, we did see a truck that came up for $30,000. It was a full truck that would replace the one that we're keeping together with duct tape and safety wire, basically. I mean, we have the same issue Dave has. We can't get parts, we have to make parts. I mean, the truck is old, it is what it is. Truck looked really nice. I was like, all right, this would be great to go to the city with it. Got the measurements of it, it won't fit. It's too tall. And it's a used truck, so trying to convert that truck, I can't even imagine the nightmares that would be or how much more that would add to it. So that's something for another time, but just so you guys are aware.
there's money in the foundation fund that I think for a truck too, right? For
Yeah.
down payment for a truck, so. I think the city could do there I would make a motion the city pay for 4 turnout gear.
I'll second.
Second, Neil, I'll third.
There's a motion and second on the table for the city to cover the cost of 4 sets of turnout gear. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, that's still.
Thank you, John.
That's fine. No, I mean, it is what it is. I apologize for not planning properly and getting to you guys beforehand anyway, but I appreciate it. We'll fire department will pay for the rest and that's fine. So,
I've gotten some invoices. I know there's a bigger
there
invoice
is,
coming.
there's a big invoice coming. Just talk with Ty, tell him what portion. And
Yeah.
then he'll cover the rest. He'll write a check for the rest.
Yeah, because we'll have to approve that.
So,
So if
yeah.
you have any of the, like purchase orders or anything, just forward them to me.
I can do that. I
Okay.
have an email. I don't have I have everything except for the actual jackets and pants.
Okay.
We don't have the jackets and pants bill. They don't give us that until they're done making them.
Okay.
But once we get that, I will
So that way we
get
know
that sent
how
to you.
much.
Exactly. Yeah, so then you know exactly how much.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Before Chief Thompson leaves. Where are we at with the fire state aid that's being delayed? You
I,
know,
I don't know where, everything I have turned in all calls and runs and everything, that's all done. I don't know where that is. I know it was supposed to be upwards of 20,000 or something.
Yeah,
And as far as I know, every other city has gotten it. I don't know where ours is, or I haven't seen
Okay.
anything saying, I haven't gotten any nasty grams or anything, so. I got some in October, took care of it right away, not realizing that hadn't been handled, so I took care of it, got it all done. This past weekend, a week ago, I finished 2023. And now I've changed my process to, if we have a fire on Saturday after that fire, I will put it in the system so that going forward, I'm always up to date. So that I don't have to, so I don't have to, because I don't like jumping through hoops trying to figure that thing out either.
but I don't know. I mean, this is for the Relief Association. I mean, it comes into the city account and we just write a check out to the Relief
Yeah.
Association. So, but we don't want that to get forgotten.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I've got everything turned in that I need to have turned in.
Okay.
I had all that stuff turned in as soon as I got it in October. When I got the first email, I got 2022 taken care of, and I had half of 2023 taken care of. At that time also I did it, and then Don just sent me a reminder about it, so I finished them up as soon as I got the reminder. But like I said, going forward now, instead of waiting and letting them stack up, I'm just gonna, if we have a fire on Friday, I'll fill it. I'll do the paperwork Saturday morning at home.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing, but you're talking about putting in the system for the fires and all that. This
Yep.
is the fire state aid amount that goes to your Fire Relief Association.
Yeah, and I don't know of any paperwork that I need to be filling out for
Oh,
that.
okay.
I don't
Tracy,
know.
do you know whose desk is it on or what?
I don't know. I know it was middle of November when they finally got, Schmidt's got whatever done,
Okay.
taken care of for that. Cause I had gotten a couple emails prior to that, and anytime I would see anything, I'd send it to Ty. And his
Okay.
response to me was, yeah, we know we got an extension, but I don't
Okay.
know why or how or.
I'll
So it's
double
in the
check.
works. Okay.
I'll double check with Ty tonight when I leave to make sure that's all done also. But as far as I know, the last email I saw 2 weeks ago, everything was turned in and taken care of.
Cause yeah, for this year now, that should have been turned in, I think the end of March or something, but yeah, okay.
Yep,
Just wondering.
and
Okay.
I'll double check.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
You bet.
Thank you.
See, John,
Good night.
All right. Discussion on the engineering RFPs received.
So we have received 5 proposals, so far, or that's all we're going to receive from our requests that we had sent out in the order that they were received by me. We got ISG, Bolton and Mink, Moore, Bollick, and SEH in that order. In talking with a few different people or cities and stuff that have gone through this process, I got sent a few different templates and they recommended that we kind of vote on a template for scoring all of the RFPs. We kind of go from use that so everyone is a even playing field. And kind of score them all. And then once we have all our scores put together, then we'll eventually pick out and narrow it down to our top, say 2 or 3, and do interviews based on that, and then choose then make the actual decision for who we want to have as our engineer.
I would agree with that process. It was a lot of information. I tried to get through most of it. I think when you and I spoke, Tracy, the first, what do you call those sheets? Guidelines, the scoring sheets. I would recommend that can I do this in a motion? Should I do it in a
Sure.
motion? Okay.
Go for it.
I make a motion, we use the scoring sheet, the first one that you had there, that had was more
The
in
one with
depth.
all the words,
Yes,
the 1.5 page long.
yeah. And then each of us will do the scoring, you and Dave as well. I guess if Dawn wants to too, she's She deals with the engineers. And then we could just check everybody's numbers at the next meeting and interview two people. Two of them, I think is good enough. So that's my motion to use that first scoring sheet.
Is it, Deb, can I just ask, is it this one?
Yep,
Okay,
Yep.
I'll second.
There's a motion and the second on the table to approve. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find it. Which
It's
scoring?
the last two pages of that. Sorry, I wish they were.
Oh, there we go.
2 pages.
Got it.
everybody know which one, yeah.
I think it says city engineer RFP review worksheet. That
Okay,
one.
there you go.
Yes.
Okay,
City engineer RFP review worksheet.
Yeah,
This
so
one, got
that
it.
is the one that they are made the motion to approve.
There is a motion in the second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. He said aye. Carried.
Yeah.
Huh, whatever. All right, that's all we needed on that, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. We'll have to figure out if who wants to do interviews and how we want to do that, but we can, I don't know. If that necessarily has to be decided right now.
We can decide that at next month's meeting when we come back and review the worksheets, correct?
I think so.
All right. The 1 day on sale for license for the Lions. I don't even have to finish saying it. There's a motion on the table.
I'll second.
And a second. Motion by Krista, second by Joe. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Decision to waive or not to waive the statutory tort limits on the municipal tort liability insurance. This is an annual thing, is it not? We do
Yes,
this
do
every
we
year.
waive it every year? I
We
believe
do.
we waive it every year.
Doesn't mean we have to, but historically we have.
motion to waive,
Second.
Neil.
Motion and second to waive the municipal tort liability insurance. Any further discussion? None heard, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried. Approved donation of $17,323.75 from the Splash Island Adventure Park for work done at the splash pad.
was that for anything specific, Tracy, or was it just, they're just wanting to transfer money?
They're wanting to transfer money. I did have a list of bills. I've been keeping all of the bills separate in.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is the specific total based off all the bills.
Oh, okay,
Through December, which is why it's a more specific number. That is not necessarily the city utility work, and that grants, we haven't had grants that are covering it.
okay. Okay, I make a motion to accept the donation from the Splash Island Adventure Park.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to accept donation of $17,323.75 from Splash Island Adventure Park. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Carried. And last but not least, the 2023 financial statement contingent on the auditor's approval.
So the auditor was here last week to do her regular audit and, forgive me, I don't know what Deb usually tells you about the financials, but in the past, but I mean, we did good, I think, overall, in the budget, overall, I think we may have looked like we were a little over budget, but that was partially because of the splash pad in grants and funds, not on the reimbursable side of things, so we kind of have to upfront a lot of that money. And so that kind of is what was the main thing that brought us over budget, but overall, I think we did really well trying to stay on budget, if not under budget in some areas.
Answer your question, I just usually ask if anybody has any questions. And I went through it pretty thoroughly. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the financial statement as presented contingent upon auditor's approval.
I'll second. Motion and a second to approve the 2023 financial statement contingent on auditor's approval. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Carried. I was honestly very impressed with the numbers, considering everything has drastically gone up in price.
yes. Yes.
I was a
Me
little fearful to first open it and take a look at the numbers, so.
Yep.
Kudos to you, Tracy, good job.
Thank you. I try to stay on task. And even I was a little concerned with a few things, just because of that. And I am new, so there are going to be new things that come up and that maybe not have been in there. And honestly, I had no idea what Deb put in the budget to start with, so yes.
All right, if there's,
I have something else.
okay,
So I just got off the phone with Ty. He just got an email today. There's a $50 fine that we have to pay, and then the check will be cut to us. I will donate the $50 to the Fire Relief Association. So, since I'm the chief and the buck stops with me, I have no problem. I will pay the $50, get it to Ty so he can get that taken care of, and then they should get a check cut to us pretty soon.
was it a time
Okay.
thing?
Yeah, we were late, so there's a fine for being late.
Oh,
And I will talk, and I,
Hold your money.
yeah, and they hold your money, so then I will, I'm the chief, so I'll take care of it. And then I will double check and work with Ty going forward now on the next one to make sure we're not. So,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you, Don.
yep.
All right, if there's nothing further this council wishes to discuss at this time, we will officially close the meeting. Thank you, Deb.
Bye.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
I know.
See you next month in person.